Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. I'm your host Harneet Kaur, and today we have lovely Dominic Gomersall with us, the managing director and owner of Lumbers Limited. Yeah, very exciting business because this business is all about lifestyle, watches, jewelry, and you know the reason why I have a big smile on my face listening to that. So welcome to the show, Dominic.
Thank you, Harnett. I'm very pleased to be here and share your show with you. So thank you for inviting me, most importantly.
Thank you so much. On a Friday, Dominic, it's great to have you. Would love to hear from you, about you and the business.
Well, we've got a fascinating business, I think, with a lot of amazing stories. And it's lovely being a Leicester business, being in the centre of Leicester, trying to give back to the community that have served us so well as well. So I like to think we're a nice local business. I should think, I always try this fact, but I'm not sure of it, but we're probably the oldest retailer left in Leicester. We date back to 1881. So it's a nice part of the history of Leicester. So we feel very part of Leicester.
Yeah, no, and I was reading about, I mean, you are fifth generation business, and that clearly shows the heritage you have been, and you've won multiple national and local awards. Well done for that. Looking at that, Dominic, what do what sort of points are there that triggered the growth trajectory there?
Well, I think you have to have a drive in life, and it's interesting that you've mentioned the fifth generation part of it, because if I can just touch on that briefly, I love that part of our story. And as much that, funny enough, my grandfather bought the business from the Lumbers family in 1916. And so I'm a third generation of the Gomersalls to manage the company and own the business. But fun enough, my wife is a Lumbers. So that's why I still now revert back completely coincidentally. She's got the Lumbers blood in her.
Yeah.
So I gave myself a promotion to fifth generation, believing we've got now the complete line of family going through the history. But as a young child, my father always used to tell me that I would come into the business, and he always used to say that first generation start it, second generation make it, and third generation lose it. And I was third generation. And I think sometimes in a life, whatever you're growing in your business, you have to have that drive to grow it. There's normally one entrepreneur or two entrepreneurs or two people to drive in a business that create the desire for a business to continually grow, and they never get to whatever target they've given it themselves. They never reach a target because a target is always pushed on again. You just keep on pushing targets. So as a third generation stroke fifth generation, I feel I've lost my tag, that I'm going to lose it now, and I just look forward to my son now, who I will call as sixth generation, because he does have Lumbers blood in him. He is a proper sort of continuation and custodian of the family business when he comes in. If he comes in, he's 18 at the moment, but he seems to be very eager to come in. So I think your question about growth of businesses is interesting, because I always think it's drive rather than growth. It's what drive the managing director and the people who are running a business have. And that gets you your growth if they are driving the business forward.
That is so interesting. I can totally relate to what you said, because my father is also a businessman, and it was my grandfather and my father and now my brother. So, we often tell the same story about the third generation. So does that put any sort of pressure on your shoulder, Dominic?
No, it was without doubt pressure, but you either thrive or you don't. And luckily it was a pressure that I thrived under. And I'm glad he put that pressure on me, I think, in all honesty, because I think certainly on the early years of business, when you first come in and you don't necessarily have the work ethic that you need to succeed, you need something to make sure that you create a work ethic within yourself that you can then pass on to your team as well. And, I've never been shy of working. I enjoy coming to work. I enjoy my days at work, and I've always done that. I know that you may ask me about life balance, and we'll come to that at a later date. But when you have a business, working has to be top of your list, sadly. It's the most important thing to make sure your business continues to grow.
Absolutely. coming to that point, I think you got that right. I would definitely want to come to that point. But before that, what I want to understand is, um, as a business owner, you are an employer. And when you become an employer, there are so many sort of learnings attached to becoming an employer. So, what has been your biggest learning as an employer?
Um, as an employer, I've got to say that I think the one learning curve that you probably have always, and I think the majority of people is that you regret at some stages being an employer. I think life would be certainly a lot easier without the pressures of employment. But I always look at it as an employer that I'm actually an extended family I have below me, and all the people who work for me are part of my family. They're people I care for. I want to succeed for them too. I believe their mortgages are my mortgages. I believe that I'm there to make sure that they survive and they thrive in their own business. And within that, if we can make our business improve and be more profitable, we can pay them all more, and therefore you have that ongoing relationship. But employment is one of the and I think will continue to become one of the more difficult things. I'm not saying that it should all be for the employer to have all the rights, but we should protect employers as well as employees. I love employing employees, but as an employer, the rights and the I think the responsibilities that the employees have is becoming more and more onerous every single year that you're employing people. And that part of it makes it quite difficult.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like, a coin would always have two sides, and there has to be a thin balance and a very fine balance between, the employer and the employee responsibilities. In an ideal case scenario, it would be great to have people, employees, which think your business as their own business and work in that. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen. There is always that communication gap somewhere. And that is where this has become a really important topic, because what we see is that, businesses, can you grow a business? You cannot, because it's an intangible asset. But you grow a team, which in result grows the business.
I think you do grow a team. I mean, we're lucky. The majority of my team are really long employees. We keep our employees. We don't lose them. I have many employees who started with me, 20, 23 years ago. I've got, I should think 50% of them now are getting up to 15, 20 years of being employed here. We keep our employees going on and on and on. And people, I think, appreciate working for us. It's a nice working environment. It's a nice job. But sometimes you do worry about the effort occasionally that one or two put in, and you just think, look, come on, we're trying to keep a business for all of us, and especially in these days where business is a little bit harder. Nobody can hide behind anything saying business is easy at the moment. The luxury goods market, you can all read in a newspaper that the big Gucci's of this world are 25% down. I mean, it is, a little bit of a hard market. But within that, if you have an honest business and you have a good business like we have in Leicester, and you've built up a reputation that we have, people will continue to come and shop with you. Even in hard times, people want the joys of what we sell, and they want that experience of coming to see something. They want to put a smile on their face. So that's what we're selling. We're selling putting a smile on somebody's face that's going to last on their face for an elongated stay because of what they're wearing from Lumbers.
That is so true. That is so true. And I can clearly feel when you tell me that, you have 50% of your employees working for you for more than 15 years. That clearly shows, the sort of stability and that positive work environment you have. So I would want to know, Dominic, what is, how do you foster that positive work environment at your place?
I think it's not necessarily that fostering a positive work environment. I understand the wording of that, but I think luckily we have got a positive working environment naturally. And you have a positive working environment naturally by being honest with your staff as well as anything else. You're encouraging them. You're trying to encourage them to take on more responsibilities. But also, I think as an employer, you have to accept sometimes that not everybody wants to expand their role. Some people just happy that they want to be here at 9 o'clock, they want to go home at 6 o'clock, and they want their steady work role, and they don't want any more stress in their life than that. And I think as an employer, sometimes you find that disappointing because you want everybody to be ambitious, to be able to move the company forward. But you have to realize within your journey of employing people that not everybody shares your ambition. Not everybody wants to further their own life, that they have a life and they're very content with that role. And in fairness, sometimes I'm quite jealous of that. I've got to say that. You come to work and you slave yourself and you're never satisfied. And that never being satisfied is quite difficult within your mindset. It would be very nice just to be satisfied.
Exactly.
But I'm not sure any successful businessman is ever satisfied. Whatever they've done, they still want to see more, and they still want to see more growth, and they still want to see more improvement. They still want to see more sales. Otherwise, they're not a successful businessman because their business is all of a sudden curtailed. And if you curtail your business, you instantly start going backwards. So I think that's what I'd say about them. We have a nice environment. I'm always on the shop floor with them, so there isn't a big boss looming somewhere in the back who's a frightening sort of person. I don't think. We're a team, and we're a good team. We cry together, we laugh together, we socialise together occasionally, and we get on through life, and we have life's experiences together. And as a business, we try and share their ups and their downs. So if they're going through family tragedies, we try and share that with them. And if they're going through family celebrations, we try and share that with them, and you share life together, and that's what you should be doing as an employer.
And I think that seems very fair, satisfying sort of a job there, because you start enjoying your work, and the work is not work anymore because you're enjoying it. But Dominic, what often when I speak to business owners, and as we've been discussing, it's not an easy road. There are a lot of challenges, getting there and growing the business. Nobody wants a stagnant business. It's like having stagnant water. It's stale. It's not fresh. So you want to keep moving ahead, growing. So what I want to understand is when I speak to business owners and we ask them about their challenges, most of them fall in either of the three categories. It is time. Having more time in a day. Some of it falls into the money category, which is growth, more money, turnover, profitability, and team, not having the right people in the right seat. Where do you see as a challenge?
Without doubt, you can say the challenge encompasses most of that. I mean, time for any businessman is a challenge. We're all time poor. I don't think there's any businessman who's not time poor. And you get challenges every day of what extra workload is going to be suddenly put on your desk because there's a challenge elsewhere. But I think the challenge of keeping a team together and a team that wants to develop the business is always the biggest challenge. You get to a size where sadly it's not all about you. It's not, my business is not all about me. I know a good proportion of it, and it's about how I push it forward and everything else. But at this moment in time, right now, I'm not on my shop floor. I'm here talking to you, Harnett. If there's a problem down there, they need to be able to sort it out themselves. If they need to do something, if they need to go in a different direction, they need to sort it and need to be able to get on it. And you need always a good team that can see opportunities, can see a direction to go in, and can grab those opportunities when they arise. Strangely, our business, I always look at certain businesses and get a little bit jealous, if I can say that. And what I mean by that is when you look at people and they have an order book and they go, I'm full until December. I know every single day what I'll be doing until December. Retail isn't that. We start on a Monday with an empty order book and we have a target that we've got to reach by Saturday, and we have no idea what's coming through that door normally, day to day, hour to hour. So it is reacting quickly and immediately to every single one of those sales opportunities that just walk through the door. People don't make an appointment, even if they're coming in to spend on a very expensive watch or very expensive piece of jewelry. They very rarely make an appointment. They just suddenly turn up and buy. And therefore, you've got to be able to react, and you've got to have the right team, the right backup, right immediately for that moment without pre-planning it, because you can't pre-plan because of the situation it is. And therefore, retail is very different to a lot of other businesses.
So true, actually. So, I mean, you see the team as the biggest challenge, because what we have seen, that sort of it's always a pattern, when the company grows and, you've been into business for so many years now, you have seen the growth and you're still growing. But it all comes down to the team again, because if not keeping that team together, it's like it's sort of a roadblock now how to end that. So yeah, I mean, I've heard that similar from businesses similar your size.
It's also, I think the word team is an important one. We're not you think of team and you think of 11 men on a football pitch or 15 men on a rugby pitch, and you've got a certain amount of quota of people. And businesses are a little bit like that. We think we've got our centre forwards who are the salespeople downstairs, and we've got this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, sometimes within business, you can go and adapt a little bit. You don't have to have 11. All of a sudden on a football pitch, you can put 12 if you want to. You can actually put more people as long as financially you can afford that at that moment. And I just think the challenge at the moment is looking to try and find the next generation, because we need some for the next generation, young people who are hungry to learn our trade, who are hungry to be able to network and get out into the community and really understand that as a local business, 90% of our trade comes from the LE postcode area. So they need to be able to get into that LE postcode area and become just themselves a person that people would go to for their luxury goods purchase, because they know them, and that brings them in. And that's the challenge now, finding those people who can network without just thinking network is an excuse to hit a bar somewhere. Networking is going to one of these occasions, mingling, mixing, getting to like people, getting to trade with people, and getting to people to come in. And I think that's a huge challenge. I'm not sure the next generation at this moment know how to network like we networked, and how hard we used to do that.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, people buy from people. So whatever digital, yes, we need that digital space now. We are in that digital space. But however, at the end, people buy from people. You buy from people you like, know, and trust.
You look at that, we obviously have an internet site, and we sell now very successfully on the internet site, but it's always a price conscious sale. It's not, because somebody's not going to get an experience from just pressing a button on a computer. So, if we've got a clearance line or something like that, and we're selling it on the internet, we might sell it to Northern Scotland, etc. tomorrow, or even abroad, because they're buying on the internet. So it's hugely successful for that, and hugely important now for that. And we my internet team, Kirsty, who runs that for me, has been absolutely amazing at getting our internet working for us now, and being a revenue generator. But the shop is different than that. Exactly like you say, it's a relationship. You're sat in front of somebody, and I always say to my staff sometimes, I wouldn't have bought anything from you then, because of the way you just sat, and your whole body language was closed. And you've got to, if somebody gets to like you straight away, they'll buy from you. They'll buy from you. They won't go elsewhere, because they'll trust you and they'll buy from you. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. People would buy only if they like you, know you, or trust you.
Absolutely.
That is so true. So, Dominic, what is the vision for the company? What's next year? What's the next 5-year plan?
Well, that has to evolve about next generation. I'm hugely excited. I do have an 18-year-old son, Freddie, who leaves school this year, and then he's going to travel a bit, and then he's going to do a diamond diploma in London. So that he'll come in as a very highly trained diamond upgrade, etc. And he's going to do a horology course too in Switzerland, I think, so he'll know his watches back to front too. And then I'd like to teach him the business side of it, and for me to continually to grow the business in a way and get our name even more synonymous with luxury and Leicester. I think people quite often knock Leicester too much. Actually, the Leicester city centre is evolving again right now. They're doing a marketplace, they're going to be doing a railway station, and there's huge investments coming into Leicester, huge investments, and it can only but improve. And I think it's an experience coming into Leicester. And yes, I know people sometimes say, well, it's difficult to park. It's not. You park it straight away in a high cross, and there's easy parking. And so that people selling skill is more required than ever, to give them an experience, to come in and have a wonderful experience at Lumbers and be sold to. And that's really what the plan is, for my son to come in, bring the next generation in, and continually to build the business over the next few years, and for him to start learning it. I'd love to be able to take a little bit of a back seat myself, but just still see the company motoring forward.
Seems like a good plan. That seems like a good plan. So we're looking forward to seeing your son in the next couple of years at Lumbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not going to rest on our laurels before then. We've just gone through a shop refit recently, and it's all about continual investment. Sadly, in any business, the day you stop investing is the day that the business starts to retract. You've got to be the most attractive you can be at the front. That the curb appeal that they all say in the location programs on TV is as important on a home as it is on a retail outlet. You've got to be really attractive to get people in. We've got to work hard to get the name out there, and still be, as I said before, the name that's synonymous with luxury in Leicestershire.
Yeah, absolutely. Dominic, my last and my most favorite question is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I think that's always difficult. It's funny, isn't it? We've touched on the work-life balance, this, that, and the other, and it's trying to balance that a little bit better. I have to say, when Freddie was born, I did turn around to my wife and say that I wasn't going to be one of the parents that on his 18th birthday regretted not seeing him grow up. But I am one of those parents who do regret that I haven't seen him grow up, because I've been at work the whole time, and I wish I could have done a little bit more of that. So I think sometimes it's about sharing your business, making sure you've got a team that's good enough around you so that you can get away a little bit and you can get that work-life balance a little bit better than I did, but still have the drive and the desire to ensure that your business is going forward, which just takes work. There's no magic secret in the world, I don't think. I think if you ask most entrepreneurs, they've worked really hard in their lives.
Exactly.
And you look nowadays at many people and they just don't work hard, and sadly that's the differential quite often between a successful person and somebody else who isn't quite as successful. So get ready to slave yourself, get ready to work hard, but try and burn a candle at both ends so that you can see your family and have family time too, because they're the ones who keep you sane.
Yeah, absolutely. Working with so many business owners now, this is one thing I'm really personally feel about them, because they work so hard. I mean, their time doesn't end. An average person would work for 40 hours a week, whereas a business owner, and when I speak to them, okay, how much time are you working? Not really, yeah, but on Saturdays, Sundays, when we actually add up, you would be surprised. It's like double, 80 to 90 hours a week.
No, without doubt. And I mean, certainly I'm good now with holidays. My wife, she loves the holidays and she does
I'm glad.
But when I was in my 20s, I didn't take holidays, at all, and into my 30s, a holiday was actually a swear word to me. I said, why on earth would you go on holiday? If I go on holiday, I'm not earning money, I'm not pushing a business forward. And I had very few holidays in those days. But that's what I think. Some of the prices you have to pay to build a business, sadly, it doesn't come free. It does take a penalty on you. The stress of it, the workload of it is something that can weigh heavily upon you occasionally. But it's about having ways to vent off the stress, You know, have an outside interest, which I'm bad at because I don't really necessarily have a huge amount of outside interests. You know, I love following sport, fortunately, you know, go down to Leicester Tigers, and I follow football a lot. So I love watching those. But you just need some your time too, as well as everything else. And if you don't get that, I think the business can overly consume you, and it's your health that then becomes a problem.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, business is meant to give you more life. Otherwise, it's as good as having a job.
Yeah.
So we believe that business is meant to give you more life, and that's what we help business owners is creating a profitable business, a commercial enterprise that works without you. It doesn't happen in a day. Of course, it takes a lot of time to work. You know, there's a lot of things to work behind the scenes, but a business is meant to work without you. Otherwise, it's a job.
Absolutely, and it's very rare, I think, that they do. In our minds, in the entrepreneur's mind. So if you're a business leader, you actually don't believe your business is going to continue unless you're there, and therefore you have to be there. So therefore, it's a vicious circle.
Yeah.
I think.
But you know what? It's surprising. I've seen a lot of changes happening, and it's just that sort of mindset when you start looking at that thing, then you start seeing the return of it. So then you start enjoying because the business is generating money and you don't have to be there. So it's actually a sort of a dream life. But sometimes we are so afraid or fearful of doing that because we really feel, is it really true? Can that really happen?
But I think then you get to a different stage of your life where maybe you're not looking for growth, but you're looking for protectionism, and you've built up an asset value within your business to a certain amount. And I think, and it's interesting, you know, I always used to joke when I first came into business that I couldn't believe the jewelry trade, because most jewelry shops just sat there, did nothing, and just waited for customers to go through their door. And I used to say, why on earth do they deserve business if they're not doing anything? And so we worked hard doing events. We did so many different things in the store to bring people through the door. But we've got a little bit through that now, and it's about, you know, we've built up a sizable family asset and company asset, which now is almost, you're scared of the downside rather than always look at the growth side. So it's about protecting your asset and making sure that it's still got the growth potential.
Absolutely.
But the worst thing is the bottom line must never start dropping. You've got that overhead to continue. You've got staff to look after. New salaries to keep increasing, or salaries to keep increasing, and overheads that will always continually rise. So you've got to get the growth to continue to protect your asset, and that's I think what it gets to as you go a little bit older.
Absolutely, and you know, it's a matter of choice. Also, what you just said, it's a matter of choice and what comes with it. But you're absolutely right, Dominic. That business, it's not easy. It's not easy. But if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Either way, you will prove yourself right. That's what I believe in.
That's a very good belief.
Yeah, and I've seen that happen. So I mean, when I look at you, I see a lot of passion and drive, and you know, the time and the hard work you've given to the business, and I'm so pleased and happy for the 6th generation to come in, your 4th generation to be a part of the business. It would be lovely to see that. How does it all come together? And we wish you all the best, Dominic, and the
business. Thank you, Harnish. It's been a pleasure to speak to you. Pleasure to meet you. I hope I haven't spoken too long and at too far length for you. But I've enjoyed that, and it's been a pleasure to do it with you.
Every word you've spoken is really wise, and you know, our community would really get benefit out of it. So thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.